images come up for you. So I'm thinking, so Tracy, is the first one
I like you to be still.
Yeah, okay. So in Spanish, this title of I Like to Be Still is Me Gustas Cuando Callas, and it's a love poem. Me gustas cuando callas porque estás como ausente y me oyes desde lejos y mi voz no te toca. Parece que los ojos se te hubieran volado y parece que un beso te cerrará la boca. Como todas las cosas están llenas de mi alma, emerges de las cosas. Llena del alma mía, mariposa de sueño, te pareces a mi alma y te pareces a la palabra melancolía. Me gustas cuando callas y estás como distante. Y estás como quejándote, mariposa en arrullo, y me oyes desde lejos y mi voz no te alcanza. Déjame que me calle con el silencio tuyo. Déjame que te hable también con tu silencio claro como una lámpara, simple como un anillo. Eres como la noche, callada y constelada. Tu silencio es de estrella, tan lejano y sencillo, veritas.
I chose this poem both because it refers to the I think the power of silence, but also because it really broaches the difficulty of loving, which I think we all have encountered, even in our attempt to love God. You know, that can sometimes be the hardest difficulty that we so desperately want, that we so deeply want, and then we encounter our own resistance and our own unwillingness. So I Like for You to Be Still by Pablo Neruda. I like for you to be still. It is as though you are absent and you hear me from far away, and my voice does not touch you. It seems as though your eyes had flown away, and it seems that a kiss had sealed your mouth. As all things are filled with my soul, you emerge from those things, filled also with my soul. You are like my soul, a butterfly of dreams, and you are like the word melancholy. I like for you to be still, and you seem far away. It sounds as though you were lamenting, a butterfly cooing like a dove, and you hear me from far away, and my voice does not reach you. Let me come to be still in your silence. Let me talk to you with your silence that is bright as a lamp, simple as a ring. You are like the night with its stillness and constellations. Your silence is that of a star, remote, candid, and true.
Beautiful.
Oh. So somehow I just lost the next poem. Oh, there it is. Still getting used to this. This is a 100 Love Sonnets, Pablo Neruda. Love Sonnet number 17. And I'm just going to read it, and then Evie can come in with the Spanish. I do not love you as if you were a rose of salt or topaz, or an arrow of carnations that propagate fire. I love you as one loves certain obscure things, secretly, between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that does not bloom, but carries the light of those flowers. hidden within itself. And thanks to your love, the tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. And thanks to your love, the tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you directly without problems or pride. I love you like this because I don't know any other way to love except in this form in which I am not, nor are you. So close that your hand upon my chest is mine. So close that your eyes close with my dreams. If anyone wants me to read those again, just say so.
Actually, I would love to hear that again.
Yeah, I would too, actually, for some reason. I don't love you as if you were a rose of salt or topaz, or an arrow of carnations that propagate fire. I love you as one loves certain obscure things, secretly, between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that does not bloom, but carries the light of those flowers hidden within itself. And thanks to your love, the tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you directly without problems or pride. I love you like this because I don't know any other way to love, except in this form in which I am not, nor are you. So close that your hand upon my chest is mine. So close that your eyes close with my dreams.
It's a total mystical experience.
Right?
Yeah.
And this poet is not known for his mystical poetry, I can tell you that. He's known for, you know, very physical descriptions of very physical things. So
he's the body in the love chamber.
Yeah.
He wrote, there's a whole set of love sonnets that he wrote, and most of them are very, very erotic, but this one has that mystical feeling about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit about Neruda, and then I'll read it in Spanish, what Tracy just read in English. So he was born in 1904. He died in 1973. He was Chilean. He was a Nobel Prize winner, and he had many, many careers. He was a senator, a diplomat. He was involved in kind of what I guess we call here leftist politics. He was an advisor to Salvador Allende, the socialist president of Chile. And then there was this big political movement in which Pinochet took over, and Allende got very, very ill and had to be hospitalized. And during that hospitalization, he was treated by a medical doctor who injected him with something that he had an immediate sense was poisonous to his body. He was removed from the hospital and sent home, and he died about 6 or 6.5 hours later. And I think his story is so interesting because it parallels so much of what we read about now in the political realm. But many of these poets that you're going to hear tonight have lived through just incredibly difficult political circumstances, upheavals, revolutions, assassinations, all kinds of things. And yet he was not only a man of letters, he was also a man who engaged in the affairs of the world and could write these beautiful poems. So I'm going to read to you now in Spanish.
Can I just add something to that? There's a fabulous movie on Netflix about his life. It is really, really incredible.
Wow.
And you really get a chance to see, really how he risked his life during the Pinochet regime. He was a hero and just was, really sought to be killed, and really risked his life just to be who he was.
Okay, back to this love.
Just a second. What is the title of that film that you were just referred to?
I think it's called Neruda, if I'm not mistaken, but I think if you just Google it, it'll come up. It just came out about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. It's fabulous.
Sorry to interrupt.
The whole movie is a poem.
No interruption. It sounds really good, Tracy. I'd love to see it as well. No te amo como si fueras rosas de sal, topacio o flecha de claveles que propagan el fuego. Te amo como se aman ciertas cosas oscuras, secretamente, entre la sombra y el alma. Te amo como la planta que no florece y lleva dentro de sí, escondida, la luz de aquellas flores, y gracias a tu amor vive oscuro en mi cuerpo el apretado aroma que ascendió de la tierra. Te amo sin saber cómo, ni cuándo, ni de dónde. Te amo directamente, sin problemas, ni orgullo. Así te amo porque no sé amar de otra manera, sino así de este modo en que no soy ni eres, tan cerca que tu mano sobre mi pecho es mía, tan cerca que se cierran tus ojos con mi sueño.
I think I shared this story with a few of you, but when I was at the Baba Center, I had just started reading Hafez. We were having lunch, several of us, at the refractory, and there was an elderly Iranian man with a very dog-eared copy of Hafez, and his son-in-law, who spoke English, said, "My father-in-law would like to read some Hafez to you in Farsi." And I thought, oh, that's nice, So I'm sitting there eating my lunch, and he starts reading Hafez in Farsi, which of course I do not speak. And I just pushed my food away. I could not eat, and I started weeping, and I could not stop weeping the entire time he was reading. And it really impressed upon me that when you feel a connection to a poet or to a language, that you can understand it without knowing anything about the words. Mm-hmm. And I've had this experience in other countries where people were speaking and I couldn't understand them, and I decided just to tune into them and see if I could really feel the energy behind the words. And I was shocked at how much I could grasp. So it's a lovely thing to experience while Evie is reading in Spanish, to just see if you can feel it. Yep. So we're going to read a super short poem by Octavio Paz, and it's so short, but it's just so lovely. And just a brief comment about Octavio Paz. He was born in Mexico City, won the Nobel Prize in 1990, a few years before his death. He was very involved, like Neruda, in politics and in the military. And he was very influenced by the work of Antonio Machado and Pablo Neruda, whose Antonio Machado's work we will read later. He actually lived in India for several years and started a whole group of writers there. And what else is good to say about him, Evie?
I think the only other thing is, besides his political and familial influences in his travel, he was very influenced by the whole thread of philosophy and the idea of personal existence in his writing and in his work, and in basically how he lived his life.
So the funny story about this poem, when I moved to Asheville 20 years ago, I really did not write poetry in earnest, but I started writing the minute I landed in Asheville. And it was really through poetry that I came to Baba. And I wrote a poem that was almost exactly like this one. It's just kind of remarkable. It might be why I'm drawn to it. Anyway, it's called Brotherhood. I am a man. Little do I last, and the night is enormous. But I look up, the stars right. Unknowing, I understand. I too am written. And at this very moment, someone spells me out. I am a man. Little do I last, and the night is enormous. But I look up, the stars right. Unknowing, I understand. I too am written. And at this very moment, someone spells me out.
Very interesting.
And in Spanish, this is entitled Hermandad, because hermano means brother in Spanish, and you put the DAD on and it becomes brotherhood. Hermandad. Soy hombre, duro poco, y es enorme la noche, pero miro hacia arriba. Las estrellas escriben, sin entender, comprendo. También soy escritura, y en este mismo instante alguien me deletrea.
This next one is by a woman poet. And as you can imagine, being from, we're talking about Chilean and Mexican and Spanish poets, women were just not, they didn't enter into those realms like men. So I was so grateful to Evie to find this by a woman poet. Whose name is Mario Benedetti, and I do not know a thing about her, so I'm hoping that Evie will fill us in a little bit about her.
Actually, it's a man.
Oh, what?
Mario. The woman is Soy Juana de la Cruz.
Oh, the one about the nun.
Yeah.
The one that I nixed.
One that next, but I'd love to include it.
We'll read it. We'll read hers as well.
But anyway, Mario Benedetti was from Uruguay. He was born in 1920, died in 2009. So he also was another poet who experienced political difficulty during trying times. So during a dictatorship in Uruguay, he lived in exile for 12 years. While he was in exile, they denied him a visa, denied his identity, and finally they released him and he was able to go to Cuba, and from Cuba to Spain. He won numerous international awards, and I don't know where he ended up. I don't know if he ended up back in Uruguay or if he ended up in Spain. I'm not really sure about those details. But I think as we listen and read his poetry, we can think about his journey as well. And so this poem, Tracy, you're gonna, Tracy, I had a thought about this. I don't know how you feel about this, but supposing we alternated between English and Spanish, paragraph by paragraph, unless you want to read the whole thing in English. Either way's good.
I think we can try it. I'm worried that would be hard for people to follow.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and read it in English, and I'll follow up.
All right. It's called Don't Give Up. Don't give up. You still have time to reach up and start anew. Accept your shadows, bury your fears, free your burdens, fly again. Don't give up. That's what life is. Continue the journey. Follow your dreams. Unstuck time. Move the rubble and uncover the sky. Please don't give away, even if the cold burns and the fear bites, if the sun sets and the wind goes silent. There is still fire in your soul. There is still life in your dreams. Because life is yours, and yours is the desire, because you have loved it, and because I love you. Because wine exists and love is true. Because there are no wounds that time doesn't cure. To open the doors, take away the locks, abandon the walls that have protected you. To live life and accept the challenge, get back laughter, practice a song, lower the guard, extend the hands, open the wings, try again, celebrate life, and take back the skies. Don't give up. Please don't give way. Even if the cold burns and the fear bites and the sun sets and the wind goes silent, there is still fire in your soul. There is still life in your dreams, because every day is a new beginning, because this is the hour and the best moment, because you are not alone, because I love you.
Now that we heard the full poem, could we do what Evie is suggesting as an experiment? Yeah, that will bring the language closer to our hearts.
Yes, yes, let's do it. So, Evie, do you want to start in Spanish and then I'll follow in English, or the other way around?
Yeah, I'll start in Spanish.
Tracy, could I just ask you, that is such a beautiful poem. What is the poet's name again?
Mario Benedetti. It's Bennedetti.
And it was called, that poem is called?
Don't Give Up.
Don't give up.
I love it. Okay, thank you.
No te rindas. No te rindas, que la vida es eso. Continuar el viaje, perseguir tus sueños, destrabar el tiempo, correr los escombros y destapar el cielo. No te rindas porque no cedes, aunque el frío queme, aunque el miedo muerda, aunque el sol se esconda y se calle el viento. Aún hay fuego en tu alma, aún hay vida en tus sueños, porque la vida es tuya y tuyo también el deseo.
Oh, you just got through the first stanza?
Yep.
Wow, okay. I thought you just were carrying on.
No.
Don't give up. You still have time to reach up and start anew. Accept your shadows. Bury your fears. Free your burdens. Fly again. Don't give up. That's what life is. Continue the journey. Follow your dreams. Unstuck time. Move the rubble and uncover the sky.
¿Por qué lo has querido y por qué te quiero? Porque existe el vino y el amor, es cierto. Porque no hay heridas que no cure el tiempo. Abrir las puertas, quitar los cerrojos. Abandonar las murallas que te protegieron.
Don't give up. Please don't give way. Even if the cold burns. Even if the fear bites, even if the sun sets and the wind goes silent, there is still fire in your soul. There is still life in your dreams.
Vivir la vida y aceptar el reto. Recuperar la risa, ensayar el canto. Bajar la guardia y extender las manos. Desplegar las alas e intentar de nuevo. Celebrar la vida y retomar los cielos.
Because life is yours and yours is the desire. Because you have loved it and because I love you. Because wine exists and love is true. Because there are no wounds that time does not cure.
No te rindas, por favor, no cedas. Aunque el frío queme, aunque el miedo muerda, aunque el sol se ponga y se calle el viento, aún hay fuego en tu alma, aún hay vida en tus sueños, porque cada día es un comienzo, porque esta es la hora y el mejor momento, porque no estás sola, porque yo te quiero.
To open the doors, take away the locks. Abandon the walls that have protected you. to give life and accept the challenge, get back laughter, practice a song, lower the guard and extend the hands, open the wings, try again, celebrate life, and take back the skies.
I think you have one more verse, do you?
I do. Did you go all the way through?
I did.
Oh, don't give up. Please don't give way. Even if the cold burns, even if fear bites, even if the sun sets and the wind goes silent, there is still fire in your soul. There is still life in your dreams. Because every day is a new beginning. Because this is the hour and the best moment. Because you are not alone. Because I love you. Yeah, that was, I enjoyed that. I was thinking you wanted to do it like line by line by line, and but this worked. I think this worked. How did you all feel about that?
It's real nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Spanish being an Indo-European language, many words are common with French and Italian. I could kind of, you know, get bits and pieces of it. So to hear the translation right away was very beautiful. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for encouraging that.
I like this poem, especially for the moments that we're living into now, and the one about you are not alone, because it seems like there's such a sense of solitariness now and danger near and far. And I think that when we listen to beautiful poetry, it can help us to reconnect.
Absolutely. Do you want to start it in Spanish?
The same poem? Which one?
The one we're talking about by the woman poet, Mexican nun, Sor Juana de la Cruz.
Okay,
Mexican
so you all have to know about Sor Juana de la Cruz. This woman was described as the proto-feminist. So she was born in 1648. She died in 1695. And, you know, during those times of very, very strict and Orthodox Catholicism, many women entered convents as a way to escape the life of husband and children. Women who went into convents often wanted to study. They were talented. They wanted to create art and study texts. And Sor Juana grew up in a family and had a grandfather who had a vast library. And she was largely self-educated because during those times, girls didn't go to school. She was later described and sort of rescued from anonymity by a modern Latin American poet and writer. I believe it was Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And she was described as a flame that rose from the ashes of religious authoritarianism. She joined a convent in 1667, and the topics that she wrote about included love, feminism, and religion. She was later condemned by the Bishop of Puebla, who had religious authority. And part of that condemnation was that she was forced to sell her books and to focus on offering charity to the poor. She died of plague the next year after caring for her sister. Yeah, so just really an amazing life. And she got a lot of notoriety, and not the kind of notoriety of support, but the notoriety of condemnation and judgment because she was a woman and not a man. So she wrote this poem called "By Persecuting Me, What is Your Intent?" So I'll read it in Spanish. Tracy, I don't know if you have the translation in English. I sent it to you on your phone.
I do.
Why don't you read it in English, and then I'll read it in Spanish then.
Okay.
Okay.
By persecuting me, world, what is your intent? How do I offend you when I'm only trying to put beauty into my understanding? instead of putting my understanding in the beauty. I don't long for treasures or riches, and so I always find a greater pleasure by putting riches into my thoughts instead of focusing my thoughts on the riches. So I don't think highly of the beauty that, when is over, is nothing but a waste from the ages, nor do I love false riches. For I deem it best, as one of my truths, to consume the vanities of this life, than to consume my life through vanities. I think I should read that again.
Yeah, do.
By persecuting me, world, what is your intent? How do I offend you when I'm only trying to put beauty into my understanding instead of putting my understanding in the beauty? I don't long for treasures nor riches, and so I always find a greater pleasure by putting riches into my thoughts instead of focusing my thoughts on the riches. So I don't think highly of the beauty that, when is over, is nothing but a waste from the ages, nor do I love false riches. For I deem it best, as one of my truths, to consume the vanities of this life, than to consume my life through vanities.
Wow.
I know.
Like that one, huh, Elaine? Yeah, yeah. Sor Juana de la Cruz is really considered the first of the Latin American writer tradition, the very first. So here is the same poem in Spanish. En perseguirme, mundo, ¿qué interesas? ¿En qué te ofendo cuando solo intento poner bellezas en mi entendimiento y no mi entendimiento en las bellezas? Yo no estimo tesoros ni riquezas, y así siempre me causa más contento poner riquezas en mi entendimiento que no mi entendimiento en las riquezas. Yo no estimo hermosura que vencida es despojo civil de las edades, ni riqueza me agrada de mentira. Teniendo por mejor en mis verdades consumir vanidades de la vida que consumir la vida en vanidades.
Mm. Would you read that again in Spanish?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's hear it for Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. En perseguirme, mundo, ¿qué interesas? ¿En qué te ofendo cuando solo intento poner bellezas en mi entendimiento y no mi entendimiento en las bellezas? Yo no estimo tesoros ni riquezas, y así siempre me causa más contento poner riquezas en mi entendimiento y no mi entendimiento en las riquezas. Yo no estimo hermosura que vencida es despojo civil de las edades, ni riqueza me agrada de mentira. Teniendo por mejor en mis verdades consumir vanidades de la vida que consumir la vida en vanidades.
Beautiful.
Gracias.
There's some beautiful portraits done of her also. So if you get interested in Sor Juana de la Cruz, and you just type her in, there are some absolutely gorgeous oil paintings of her. You'll see her portrayed in her veil, of course, but she has just a lovely, lovely countenance.
How do you spell her name?
So Sor, S-O-R, is the first name. It's really a short for sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second name is Juana, J-U-A-N-A. The third word is de, D-E. The fourth word is la, L-A. And finally, cruz or cross, C-R-U-Z. So it's Sor Juana de la Cruz, of the cross, yeah.
So could Sor be a shortening of sister?
Yes, it is.
Sure, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, that was really beautiful. And I know some Spanish, so I was interested to hear
Oh.
this had been translated in English and then hearing Spanish. You know, it just fantastic. I started to cry, actually. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're a Spanish speaker also?
No, I grew up in Manhattan and I heard a lot of Spanish around me as I grew up. And I studied it in high school and a year in college. And I used to be able to speak it pretty fluently, but that's been a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the right, is this the right thing that we're looking
Yeah,
at?
we just went past her.
All right.
There's a number, yeah. Here's,
Oh, there she is.
there she is right
Yeah,
there.
Right here.
yeah,
So-
Juana de la
La
Cruz.
Cruz.
Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. And then you'll see her below that one. She's got the cross and kind of a snake on the cross, and she's dressed as a nun. Anybody see that one?
Yeah.
She's got the vision of an angel to her left, and she's looking up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's many renderings of her. There's another one there with old text. Yeah, right there on the right. You see her face again and like a vision below her at her torso level.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, where did it go?
And there she is in her library.
Mm.
Wow.
This reminds me so much of, Hildegard von Bingen,
Yeah.
who was just, I don't know if you've ever heard the music of Hildegard von Bingen, but she was an abbess in the Catholic faith in Germany and was really, the bishops and the powers that be over her were quite jealous of her, even though they actually went to her for consultations. She wrote all kinds of books and just did remarkable things for a woman and really had quite a difficult time of it.
Yeah, and I think Hildegard of Bingen sort of got famous in the last 30 to 40 years. There was like a resurgence of scholarship and interest in her. But I think often what happens in Latin America, because we have such a Western orientation, those beautiful talents and poetics and art, and particularly those of women, have gotten very lost. And so I just love refinding her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear her music on YouTube, actually.
Oh yeah, it's fabulous. I actually have, the only time I've ever worn a CD out in my entire life was my Hildegard von Bingen CD. It was by a chorus of women from Italy. It was all a cappella music. It is absolutely stunning. I highly recommend it. You can buy it on Amazon. Called the Coro de Hildegard von Bingen. It's really, it's supernatural. It's really heavenly.
It is. Some of it's kind of haunting, I think.
Yeah.
So too. It's sort of another sphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a group, Evie, it was in Connecticut somewhere that I saw this group of women who sing her music.
Really?
Yeah, I was wondering if you ever came in contact with them and what was their name. I totally can't remember.
Yeah.
This was
That'd be
30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they do it in procession. They process
Really?
down an aisle and then they stand in the front and sing her music.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're still performing.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry.
We are running out of time, so I'm going to skip the Armado Nervo poem, which I love, and I'm going to skip this other Pablo Neruda. I'm just going to do one last poem because we're running out of time. But it's one of the more famous poems, I think, of Latin and Spanish poets. Last night, as I was sleeping, and it's why I put that photograph up. I just love this poem so much. It's by Antonio Machado, and it was translated by the great Robert Bly.
So let me say just a little bit about his life before you read it.
Yes,
So
I actually did. Yeah, go ahead.
He was born in Sevilla, Spain. And he had kind of two sides of himself. This side that was very interested in engaging with the humanities and the human condition and experience. And then this other side that was much more Taoist and contemplative in style. He was a scholar, he was a professor. He married a young woman who, after 3 years, they moved to, I think, another country. She developed tuberculosis, and after 3 years of marriage, she died. So for the next while, his poetry was very much about grief and loss. He was also smack in the middle of Spain's very ugly civil war that started in 1936. And he was very, very close to his brother, who I believe was also a poet. They were separated for the rest of their lives because of the Civil War. He evacuated to a small village in France with his mother, and he died 3 years after the Civil War started. And there's a kind of a sorrowful force in his work that you can sort of listen for.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is called Last Night as I Was Sleeping. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error, that a spring was breaking out in my heart. I said, along which secret aqueduct or water are you coming to me, water of a new life that I have never drunk? Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error, that I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error, that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I felt warmth as from a hearth, and sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night I slept. I dreamt marvelous error, that it was God I had inside my heart.
Wow.
I know, isn't that fabulous?
Mm-hmm. You want to read it again, Tracy?
Yeah. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error, that a spring was breaking out in my heart. I said, along which secret aqueduct, O water, are you coming to me, water of a new life that I have never drunk? Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error, that I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error, that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I felt warmth as from a hearth, and sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night, as I slept, I dreamt marvelous error, that it was God I had here inside my heart.
That's a wah.
I know, that is wah.
That is wah.
That is a wah.
Oh, well, I'll read it in Spanish, and maybe if we need to finish, you could finish with that. I don't know. Read it one more time. I don't know how much we have. Okay, so the title of this in Spanish by Antonio Machado is Anoche cuando dormía. Anoche cuando dormía, soñé, bendita ilusión, que una fontana fluía dentro de mi corazón. Vi, ¿por qué a sequía escondida, agua, vienes hasta mí, manantial de nueva vida en donde nunca bebí? Anoche, cuando dormía, soñé, bendita ilusión, que una colmena tenía dentro de mi corazón. y las doradas abejas iban fabricando en él, con las amarguras viejas, blanca cera y dulce miel. Anoche, cuando dormía, soñé, bendita ilusión, que un ardiente sol lucía dentro de mi corazón. Era ardiente porque daba calores de rojo hogar, y era sol porque alumbraba y porque hacía llorar. Anoche, cuando dormía, soñé, bendita ilusión, que era Dios lo que tenía dentro de mi corazón.
Beautiful.
Corazon means what?
Heart.
Heart.
Yeah.
I was trying to share this photograph, but I could not figure out how to get it up on the screen of this absolute heart-shaped honeycomb with a bee on it.
Just hit share screen.
Yeah.
And then choose your desktop.
Oh, go to basic desktop. Yeah.
And then open your desktop and then.
Oh, there it is, Tracy.
Oh, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, it happened literally just like that. It was just incredible. It was one of those incredible moments.
Oh, beautiful.
I know. I have to tell you a funny story. When I became a beekeeper, I called some people who were working at a healing center. I knew they were all about the energy of things. And I said, tell me about the energy of bees. And she said, bees are really about these are my words, the higher octave of love. They're really about community love. And so if you are angry, do not go into your hives because you will get stung. And I thought, that's it for me. I'm angry 22 hours a day. I can't be a beekeeper. So I worked. This is a true story. I worked in my anger issues. Yeah.
No, I'm seeing Baba's face on the left side of the heart at the top. I see Baba's face.
Oh.
Very, very clearly.
Oh, wow. I don't see it, but I love that you can.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of his forehead is cut off, but the whole face is there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with the mustache and it's really there. Anyway, just had to say that because the minute I looked at it, I saw it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I worked on my anger issues for a year, and it was such a great experience. And there were some Baba lovers that were involved in that, and I was so grateful for that lesson. It was really around. It was really I'm so grateful. And so I became a beekeeper, and I literally can go into my hives with no protective clothing on, and I rarely get stung now. I'm so grateful for that opportunity to learn that lesson. And when I studied about bees, which I studied it very intensely before I became a beekeeper, I discovered that most of the major discoveries that were done about bees were done by either monks, Japanese monks, or Christian monks, or priests. And then I thought, oh, that's why those discoveries were made from that type of person who were very calm and were able to really tune into the energy of the bees. It's lovely.
I would like to have a word with you, Tracy, when this is finished about that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think one of the most beautiful stanzas in this poem is the second one, where the poet says, I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's just fantastic.
Especially the older we get, I think we really come to terms with those failures, and we have so many more failures by the time we're older.
Well, that's what Baba does. He makes honey from everything we do,
Yeah.
He accepts everything that we've done. He doesn't care.
Yeah. It's well said.
By the way, I find that if that comb is too close to my eyes, I don't see Baba. But if it's further away, that's when you can see Baba.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Okay, so one last reading of this lovely poem. If you want me to send you a copy, just put your email up on the side and let me know. Or any poem that you want a copy of, just feel free to type up your email up on the side and say which poem you'd like a copy of. I'm happy to email it to you.
Tracy, you can go ahead and stop share if you want to get back to.
Yeah. Okay. So, Last Night as I Was Sleeping by Antonio Machado. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error that a spring was breaking out in my heart. I said, along which secret aqueduct, O water, are you coming to me? Water of a new life that I have never drunk. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error that I had a beehive here inside my heart. And the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night, as I was dreaming, as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I felt warmth as from a hearth, and sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night, as I slept, I dreamt marvelous error that it was God I had here inside my heart. So thank you, everyone, and thank you particularly to Evie for collaborating on this evening with me. It was so much fun. I rarely get to collaborate with someone when I do these, and it's really more fun to collaborate. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Evie. This has been great.
Oh, good.
Wonderful. Your Spanish is marvelous. Your voice, everything. It sounded beautiful. And Tracy's English. Who translated these? Do you know?
Different people. Robert Bly translated the last one, but they're translated by a number of different people.
Yeah.
I also appreciated the stories behind the lives. Thank you for that. The historical.
That was helpful to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes hearing that gives a context for what we're listening to.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we forget in America how in how many countries poets have been very active. They're not just people who hang out in a coffee shop, but, you know, they are very active in life as ambassadors, as heroes, as rebels, as, you know, people who are really making a difference. And I think that's a really great example to have for us.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that in America really very much.
Yeah, no.
I have one little request. I would love it, Tracy, if you would introduce us all to your dove.
Oh, would you like? Yeah, I actually would love to bring him, but he steals the show. But you want me to bring him out? Okay.
I love your dove.
The sound of the dove cooing is just.
It's such a sweet dove, and he's so bonded with her. You know, it's just so charming.
How do you keep a dove? How do you keep a dove in your home?
In a cage, like any other bird. I don't know if she lets him out daily, but years ago when I came to the Music Sahavas in the early years, I slept on the floor of her living room next to the cage of the dove, and this dove would talk, you know, would coo at me and talk to me. Just, you know, it becomes attached to humans. It's so sweet.
Wonderful. Maybe I ought to get a bird now. I've done my thing with cats and dogs, you know. Maybe it's time to venture.
I've had several birds, wonderful, wonderful companions, amazing. People don't realize what birds have going on. Their consciousnesses. Here we go.
Oh,
hello.
Such a beauty. Oh,
hi, darling.
Wow.
Dear, we're getting a bird.
I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
Parrots bond with you like anything. Parrots are amazing.
Can coo to everybody?
I want to give him a kiss.
I'll start cooing in a minute. I've had white turtle doves for literally 30 years, and I just can't imagine not having one.
Yeah.
They're so special. Birds are actually very gregarious.
Yes.
They really like to be around people. When people come to visit me, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk. You know, he really wants to engage. And when I take him out once or twice a week for several hours, he follows me around like a dog. And
wait, you take him out like out in the street?
No, I take him out of the cage.
Okay.
In the house. And he's really quite interested in people. Okay, he's about to do it. Here goes. Check it out. Oh, no, he's not going to do it. We'll do it in a minute. Coo to everybody. They want to hear you coo. Hello. La, la, la.
Oh my God. Where do you get one?
You have to go to Atlanta to get one, or, you know, some big city like that. Because most pet shops don't carry white turtle doves. This one's from India. And they don't carry them because they have a certain type of bacteria that is potentially dangerous to other birds. So I had to go to Atlanta to get one. And it was so funny because I had someone gave me my first dove, and I had it in an aviary in my front yard. Oh, here he goes. And so a dog knocked the cage over, and I thought the bird had been eaten, and I just, you know, went into it grieving. And a couple days later, I went outside, and I happened to see this tiny white speck up in these beautiful, huge pine trees, like, you know, 100-foot tall pine trees. And my then fiance, who knew everything about animals there was to know, said, birds are on a schedule. I did not believe him, but it's true. He said, go to that exact same place, the exact same time, and start cooing to the dove. He will eventually come out of the trees because he's so bonded with us, and he'll come back. And I thought, that's crazy, but that was exactly what happened. It took him about a week to come back. And one day he was in a little maple tree right outside the house, and we were out there, and he just jumped on our shoulder and came in the house with us and acted very happy to be home. I had no idea a wild animal would come back. I absolutely had no idea. This is always fun. This is where he likes to hang out most of the time on my head, because it's tall, you know, like a tree.
Tracy, how long do they live?
This one has lived 12 years, and when I researched them, they said they live around 6 or 7 years, but this one's lived 12 years.